Hello everyone. For today, we'll be doing the chapter Relations and Functions in Mathematics for JEE. So first we have the question, let R be a reflexive relation on set A and I be the identity relation on A. Then we have to find out if R is subset of A, I subset of R equal to I or none of these. So first to do this, we need to understand what a reflexive relation, what an identity relation is. A reflexive relation is all such relations such that the relation on set S, let's say, such that A comma A belongs to R for all A belonging to S. This means if S is, let's say, 1 comma 2 comma 3 set, then a reflexive relation on set S would be, for instance, R equal to 1 comma 1, 2 comma 2, 3 comma 3, and then 1 comma 2. In here, the elements 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3 is necessary for it to be a reflexive relation, but it does not mean there can't be other elements such as 1, 2, 2, 3 or any other elements. So reflexive relation is all such relations such that A comma A belongs to R for all A belonging to the set. Now then, what is identity relation? Now identity relation is that a relation on set S such that only A comma A belongs to R for all A belonging to S. This means there is only one such identity relation for each set. So if S is 1 comma 2 comma 3, then I is 1 comma 1, 2 comma 2, 3 comma 3. We cannot write any other identity relation because, as the name suggests, identity is to distinguish between different sets. So if an identity relation is there, that means it is unique for a particular set. So this is the only identity relation which is possible for the set S. Whereas for a reflexive relation, we can have the identity relation or the elements 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3 along with other elements from the set S. So from here, it's very clear that the reflexive relation contains all the elements of the identity relation, but it can also include some extra elements. So we can say that I is a subset of R because all elements of I belongs to R. So if option B is the correct answer for this question. A would be wrong because 1 comma 2 belongs to R but 1 comma 2 does not belong to I. So R cannot be a subset of I. And R is not equal to I because for the same reason 1 comma 2 does not belong to I but can belong to R. So since B is correct, D is also incorrect. So I is a subset of R is the correct answer for this question. Next question. The domain of the function f of x is equal to log to the base e of x minus greatest integer of x. Options are r minus z, 0 to infinity, or z is integers. So for any log function, say log e of x, this is only defined, that is the domain of log of x is x must be greater than 0. Then only is the log function defined, and that means this would define the domain of the function. So over here in place of x, let's say over here we write g and g greater than 0. Then in place of g we have x minus greatest integer of x is greater than 0. Now we know that x can be written as greatest integer of x plus fractional part of x, and then minus greatest integer of x is greater than 0. That is, if x is, let's say, 3.14, greatest integer of x would be 3 and fractional part of x would be 0.14. So therefore, x can be written as greatest integer of x plus fractional part of x. So from here, we get fractional part of x is greater than 0. Now, we know that fractional part of x lies between 0 and 1, which is fractional part of x belong to closed interval 0 to open interval 1, because it can't be 1, because if for instance if you have 3 and then fractional part of x as 1, then we'll get 4, which would not make sense, because then it would mean that the greatest integer function would be 4. So fractional part of x can take any value between 0 and 1, including 0. Now, the function is defined when this fractional part of x is greater than 0. So the only value which it cannot take is 0, because that is the only one which is not intersection between both of these. So we need to find all values of x such that fractional part of x is not equal to 0. And we know that is integers. The set integers is the set where the fractional part of x is 0. For instance, 3. If x is 3, then greatest integer of x is 3. This means that fractional part of x is 0. But we need fractional part of x to not be 0. Therefore, the domain will contain every such number except integers. That is, we can write the domain of the function as r minus all integers, because it is at those integers where fractional part of x is equal to 0, whereas we need fractional part of x to not equal 0. So option B, r minus z, is the correct answer for this question. Obviously, A would be wrong because integers can't be there. C would also be wrong because it's not necessary that negative numbers not be there, and it also includes integers, so C is definitely wrong. And D is also wrong because integers is the one which you do not want in the function, which means it's not part of the domain. So option B is the correct answer for this question. Next question. Let P of S denote the power set of S equal to 1, 2, 3 to 10. Define the relations R1 and R2 on P of S as A R1B if A intersection B complement union B intersection A complement equal to 5, and A R2B if A union B complement equal to B union A complement for all A comma B belong to power set of S. Then we have to find which of these relations, or neither or both of them, is an equivalence relation. So let's tackle each relation one by one. So R1 we have A R1B if A intersection B complement union B intersection A complement is equal to 5. Now, for union, we know that a union of two sets must mean that a union of two sets will contain all the elements of both the sets. So if we have 1, 2 union 3, 4, then this would give 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we have that the union of two sets is equal to 5, which means the union of both of the sets contains no elements. Now this is only possible if both of the individual sets contains no elements, because if let's say A intersection B complement contains an element X, then the union of that set with any other set must also contain that element X. However, it doesn't, because the union is an empty set. So from here we can conclude that A intersection B complement is also an empty set, and B intersection A complement is also an empty set. So from here we get that if an element of A does not belong to an element outside of B, so this means that A is a subset or equal to B, because if any element of A is not belonging to B, this means that an element of A if X belongs to A, but X does not belong to B. If X belongs to A and X does not belong to B, then X will belong to B complement because both of these are interchangeable with each other. So if X belongs to A and X belongs to B complement, then X will also belong to A intersection B complement. But we know that A intersection B complement is equal to 5, which means the assumption that X does not belong to B is incorrect, and therefore all elements of A must be one of the elements of B. Therefore, A is a subset or equal to B. Similarly, over here we get B is a subset or equal to A. Therefore, from both of these, we get that A is equal to B, which means both of these are equal sets. Now, this not equal sets, equal elements. So this means that this is an equivalence relation because R1 can be written as 1, 1, 2, 2, dot, 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 10, 10, which is basically the identity relation, but all identity relations are also equivalent. So therefore R1 is also an equivalence relation because it is symmetric, because if 1, 1 exists, 1, 1 exists. Reflexive because all A belongs to R1 for all A belonging to S. And it is also transitive because there is no example for which A, B and B, C belongs to R1. Therefore, R1 is equivalent. So then you have to check for relation R2. Now R2 says A R2B if A union B complement equal to B union A complement. So for this, let's say X belongs to A. Now if X belongs to A, then X belongs to A union B complement, because a union takes all the elements from both the sets. So this union must also contain the element X. But A union B complement is equal to B union A complement. This gives that X belongs to B union A complement. Now if X belongs to A, this means that X does not belong to A complement, because A complement is all elements which are not in A but outside A in the universal set. So if X belongs to A, then X cannot belong to A complement. Therefore, for both of these to be true, X must belong to B, because then only X can belong to the union between B and A complement. So if X belongs to A, X belongs to B, this means A is a subset or equal to B. Now similarly, let's take X belongs to B. If X belongs to B, X belongs to B union A complement. But B union A complement is given as equal to A union B complement. So this gives X belongs to A union B complement. But if X belongs to B, this means X does not belong to B complement. Then from here and here we get X belongs to A. So for all X belong to B, X belongs to A, this gives B is a subset or equal to A. Now from both of these, similar to the previous one, we can conclude that A equal to B. Therefore R2 is the same relation as R1. So since we proved that R1 is an equivalence relation, R2 will also be an equivalence relation. Therefore option D, both R1 and R2 are equivalence relation is the correct answer for this question. And that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. For more such videos on JEE, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Tata for now.